And good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to round 8 of Flux Motorsport GT3 Championship, where it comes down to the absolute wire. We'll talk a little bit of that in a second. I'm joined by my co-host McToasty for the evening. Welcome, mate. How are you doing?
Doing good, yeah. Really looking forward to this. What a track to end the GT3 season on. It's very high risk, high reward, and it's one of those tracks in the world where people just it's just an exciting track to watch cars go around.
High risk is definitely the word I would use to describe it. Coming up through the hill, there is absolutely no room for errors. We'll see Immortalis finding that little margin there with the wall. Absolute iconic track here out in Australia. Really designed to push the drivers to the absolute limits. The altitude here is going to play a massive part on the car's performance as well. Those with big turbos are going to fare a little bit better. As Immortalis is bouncing his way around, I'm sure that's going to be the optimum line for tonight. You have a little time to work on that for the rest of practice. But the point to focus on tonight, ladies and gentlemen, is this man here. Bruce Law and Blankfile are fighting for the win. Bruce Law currently in pole position on the top of the standing sheet, looking to claim his first GT3 championship. The last 2 seasons, 3 seasons even, escaping him. Just this season he's got it all together in that little Janetta, sitting on top with 202 points with Blankfile on 182, only 20 behind him. After some very rough maths, getting the fingers and all the toes out, it looks like that if Blankfiles can secure pole position, the fastest lap and the race win, Bruce Law would have to finish 7th or 8th. So sounds like an easy feat from the form we've seen from Bruce. However, that Janetta is not designed to go around Bathurst really. Massively underpowered here, and it is going to show big time. So we'll be keeping a very close eye on Bruce throughout all of this one. It's almost his to lose, really, and I'm afraid he's going to feel the weight of that pressure on his shoulders for the next 45 minutes. This is the man looking to get it done. Blankfile, our current GT3 reigning champion, looking to defend the title. The gauntlet is laid, as it were. He's got to get the win and the fastest lap and pole position to really put himself in for a fighting chance. That big yellow Bentley is, towards the latter stages of the season, really started to get it together. Had a bit of a ropey start, but he's done enough to get himself up there, and a great effort from him, really. In 3rd place we have Jack in that blue and red Ferrari. Bit of an unsung hero this season, really. We've seen lots of consistent finishes from him. Seemed to have a few mistakes down in sort of Zhuhai towards the start of the season, but has able to get himself back on track and has had a bit of the season like Dr. Potford had last season, where he was able to just keep his nose clean and score consistent points week in, week out. He is going to be battling with this man here, Wadge, in that white BMW. Only 1 point separates the two. Jack on 113, Wadge on 112. So that 3rd spot will guarantee that whoever is in it at the end of this race a seat for next season. And looking at it, it looks like it's going to be Jack, Wadge, Immortalis, Snarling, and maybe even Chris to a point, all fighting for that 3rd spot. So lots of work still to be done. No one counted out just yet. Behind Wadge in 5th place, we have Immortalis on 100 points, only 102 off the back of Bruce. That Ferrari, well, we saw it run well at Rapuna Park, but I don't know if you can sort of comment on a little bit more, Toasty. It feels like he's just had great pace, but just lacked consistency.
Yeah, it's he's been quick in the short run in qualifying and first couple of laps in the race. He's up there in the field, but just seems like over the course of the season it's been the long run that he's struggled with. but we'll see if he can keep it together here through this very difficult track today.
As I've always said it about Martinez, the guy does not know how to ease off. He just drives it at full attack for the full 45 minutes. As we can see him there attacking what looks to be Skyline, I believe, and paying the ultimate price for it. But just jumping back to the standings, in 6th place we have Snarling Bongo in that McLaren. Again, another one who's shown brilliant pace in the short runs and, well, in my opinion, just been super unlucky when it comes to the race. Either getting him caught up in incidents that aren't necessarily his fault, or making the smallest of mistake and paying the biggest of prices. He could still get 3rd, I believe, if miracles happened. So it's more likely that he's going to be fighting for that 4th spot, which is still a respectable finish place for him. He'll be happy with that one. As we see him get on the grass, there he is again, paying the big prices. It's those sorts of incidents that don't win championships. Behind him, in 7th place, this man here, Flux Motorsport, in that white and pink Lamborghini, a personal livery fan favourite of mine. He is on 94 points, 108 behind Bruce. So again, he's also in the fight for that 4th place. I think he's just going to be out of reach of 3rd. But stranger things have happened in motorsport. And again, another bit of an unsung hero, really. Same sort of story as Jack, just week in, week out, consistent performances, securing just good points, which is really all you can hope to achieve. Behind him in 8th place we have Linger, the other half of the McLaren team. We have seen in the last few races Linger really start to turn that McLaren up and challenge for podiums, and again, same sort of issue as Snarling, both flatmates not really getting the luck or the sort of wind blown in his direction. But I really fancy him from this race. We know the McLarens are going to be strong around here anyway, and I hope that this is going to be the start of next season for Linger, if that makes any sense to you guys at home. Hopefully the win here will let him finish the season with his chin held high and bring up that sort of motivation into the next season, where he can continue that triumph and maybe get himself on the podium, or even better, take home a championship title. In 9th place, behind him, we have Dr. Popford, running on track here in his yellow Ferrari. He started off in the NSX and changed sort of midway through the season back to Old Faithful. He finished 3rd last season, securing himself a seat for this, and he's going to be sort of fighting for 9th, really. It looks going to be unlikely he's going to get himself too far off the grid from there. So still in the top 10, still an excellent contender and a brilliant driver, but really has lacked results needed this season round. In 10th place we have CDN Trooper, who unfortunately can't make it tonight, so he's going to fall down the grid. So I expect him to lose that top 10 spot. He's currently on 54 points. Maze Gamer is in 11th, also can't be with us. He's in 49 points, as well as Tibby on 12th, also can't be with us. So he's going to be falling back down the grid as well. That would leave it open to Best Game in 13th on 36. Merlin, or Toten as he's called on here, in 14th on 35. And Green Gaming 15th on 12 points. Looking to bump themselves up. I believe the highest they could get was probably be 11th looking at it, so they're not going to get too far up. I think CDM might actually be lucky and hang on to this one, keep that top 10 spot. So we've had a few little gaps just very quickly to touch on. Our first reserve for the night is this man here, Tyjo. Racing consistently in the LMP2, has been with Flux for a little while, definitely knows his way around the track, and I believe we might have seen him race either last season or the very beginning of this season in that BMW. Extremely quick on his day, not one to be ruled out. He's definitely capable of challenging for podiums should he get his setup together, but only so I know he's having the seat today, so not massive amounts of practice being put in, so we'll see what he can pull out of the bag. Next on from him we have Reno King. He definitely raced with us, I believe it was last week, maybe a week before, in that Nissan. Couldn't quite get it switched on to how he would like, but took a week away, spent some tinkering time. he found out today he was getting to see early this morning, so he's put a little bit of practice in, and we'll see what results he can put out. And then we have this man here in the flat pack in that yellow Ferrari, teammating up with Dr. Potford. He found out moments ago that he was going to be joining the track, so I suspect he's in that garage now with all the spanners out, desperately trying to get a setup on that Ferrari for Bathurst. We saw him drive really well in the touring cars of reserve. Great talent. And again, we also saw him race, I believe it was a Zuhai, and he was able to challenge top 10 there as well. So great pace out of that Ferrari too. So definitely one to keep an eye on. But 8 minutes 55 left in this qualifying session. Everyone has had at least a sniff at a fastest lap. It looks like Harry and Snarling maybe haven't. So Blankfile currently on top, which is the beginning to him retaining his GT3 championship. He needs to take maximum points to give himself the best opportunity here. Currently on pole with a 2:04.9 at the blinding lap. We have heard rumours of 2:03s, but nothing materialising just yet. Linger sitting just behind him in 2:05.0s, 1/10 back. Super close up there, and Jack only half a second off as well to round out the top three. Immortalis getting himself up into fourth. It looks like Linger's managed to be able to jump up 2:04.6, 2 attempts quicker than Blankfile. Linger really going to be able to assist Bruce, really. If he's able to take any points away from Blankfile, that is going to help Bruce massively. Bruce currently sitting down in 10th, 2.7 seconds off the pace, so he's going to need to do a little bit more. Let's jump on board with him, see where he is. Looks like he's coming up to the cutting, I believe, here, yeah. Round through Griffin's Mount and up to Raid Park. I thought the Jeanette would be doing really well through this sort of tight, windy section, but I think it just lacks a little bit of power coming up the hill, where some of these bigger cars with the bigger turbos are able to make up a little bit of ground. But that Jeanette isn't looking slow. As you see, typically from Bruce, nice and neat and tidy. With that said, Toasty, I've done an awful lot of talking. What is your who's your race prediction for this time out? Who are you backing? Who we keep an eye on?
I'm gonna pick Linga today. I know that you mentioned the McLarens are quick around here, and we haven't really seen. I don't think we've really seen the true potential of Linga in the GT3s just yet. So I think he might really pull it together today and get that top spot.
Here's to hoping. That would really shake the standings up if he was able to get up the top there. I'm not quite sure how that would play out for the championship title. I think it would stay relatively the same. It would give Bruce a little bit of breathing room, I think, because he finishing 7th after that lap, 1.4 off the pace. 7th is where he needs to be, depending on how many points Blankfile scores. And after qualifying, I'll be able to give you a bit of a better idea of what that picture looks like. Looks like Bruce is going to have another bite of the cherry. Let's look a little further forward to Linger, see where he is. That McLaren's had a little ding on the front there. You can see him coming back onto Conrod Straight, it looks like. Yeah, at the back there. See Reno King getting out of the way. It doesn't look to be on a fast lap. Where's Blankfile? Maybe. Looks like he's got Immortalis. Getting a cheeky little toe off of him.
This is a difficult track to get a car set up for. It's very, very bumpy in sections, and there's a lot of tight corners, but there's also the couple of long straightaways, so it's a kind of a compromise whether you want to either go for that high downforce or low downforce setup. In my experience, the low downforce has been a bit quicker, although it's a bit more difficult to get over the mountain safely.
It is interesting you mention it. I think it depends what type of car you are in. I think the LMP2 seem to benefit from as much downforce as you can get on the car at all and make this a sort of up the hill and down the hill section, this tight little bit, as quick as possible, and sort of sacrifice it on the straights, knowing that you've only got to hang on for sort of that half track, as it were. It's a bit easier to defend. However, on the flip side of the coin, if you go for a very low downforce setup, it's very hard to overtake through this section. You have to be super brave and extremely confident in your ability and in the cars to make it stick. So the optimum overtaking spot, or the easiest overtaking spot, is on these two very long straights, which are together near enough. So you're right, it will be interesting to see who opts for what. I expect Bruce will be opting for a very low downforce setup, and that will be slightly less than what he would like. And I think Blankfire's probably got as much downforce as he can get put on that car. That big heavy Bentley is going to need all the help it can get to get through this sort of agile section coming over the hill. So we wait and see. Looks like Jack is now starting a lap, so we'll get out from him. Waj has been able to get up into second place, 1/10 away from Lingo with a 2:04.8. Again, Waj, we've seen great pace week in, week out. Took third, I believe, last week, which is sort of where he's been most of the championship, really. I think he had maybe a one shock result. I'm just pulling it up now for you all. Waj got a DNF last week, which is what's been able to turn the tables round and let Jack be able to sneak into that third spot. Otherwise, second, fourth, third. So always sort of towards the sharper end of the grid, as it were. Good racing for him, and we've seen the BMWs perform well last season. We saw from Mia, she was able to really wring that BMW's neck, and I wonder whether the spirit of Mia is in that little BMW now. Waj unable to go any quicker on that lap. 2 minutes 17 left to go, so he's going to get one more go at it if he's lucky. Let's see where Blankfile is on track. Looks like Blank is going to get another go at it as well. Linger should too. Everyone should, providing they've already across the line now. Reno King might just lose out. To jump on Linger, getting very messy coming over into Skyline. I don't think the race director's going to let him get away with that one. He's not. Straight back to the pits. So that could be Linger out. 2:04.6 is going to be the time to beat. Waj looks like he's hounding that BMW. Maximum faith in the car there, keeping his foot pinned. Coming down into Skyline, super careful on the brakes, trying to run too wide here, get the best exit you can out of the dipper. Down into Forrest's elbow now, super tricky braking zone. As you can see, the hill dip away to rear the car, trying to step out. Caught very nicely. Looks like he lost a little bit of speed there, just ran a little bit too wide. Maybe try and get the nose in a little bit sharper next time. And the trick is to brake slightly earlier than you want to. Sacrifice the entry for the better exit so you get the best run down Conrod straight that you can. Coming up into the chase. And here it is here, looking for those tyre marks on the floor for the braking. There it is. See the nose dip, trying to get too much on the curb here. That'll either rip the car away or give you a slowdown. You can decide whatever's worse. Coming down into Murray's corner now. Again, this just needs to be super neat. Not a lot of time to be made there, just needs to keep it off the exit curb. Is that going to be enough? 1.8, 10th to find, and it's not, but he's going to get one more go, and he's not, opts to go back to the pit. So Linger, Waj have locked in third, second for the time being. Blankfile still out on track. Immortalis, Jack, Dr. Potford, Bruce, Chris Snarling, Tyjo, Flatback. All these guys on the grid are all capable of knocking them out of that top spot. They are in the pits, but by no means safe. Someone is parked up in the wall there. It could be Flatpack or Dr. Potford. It's Dr. Potford. So that's going to leave Dr. Potford in sixth. Jack is back into the pits. He can't do any better, so he stays in fifth for the time being. Blank and Immortalis still trying to get their way further up the grid. We're on board with Blankfile at the minute. Where's Immortalis? A little further back, so we'll jump on with him Toward the end of the race, a big contact from Blankfile there. That's going to cost him a little bit of speed. You see him nibble the wall, get a little bit on the dirt. That is not going to be the one. So Blankfile unable to get anything done there. There is Snarling on track. He's coming up the hill, so he's still got a little way to go. eMotorsports getting on the dirt as well. I wonder whether the race director is going to penalise him for that or let him keep it for the time being. How does he get down here into Forest Elbow? See the rear stepping out, all kinds, big power slide, maximum style points. Not going to get him any qualifying points though. Dr. Potford looks like he's on a slow lap, so it comes down to Bruce then. Anything he can get done. Looks like Starling's had a little knock. Nothing doing there. Let's see if could have been a funny angle. It didn't look like Bruce got the best run out of Forest Elbow there. Looks like he's catching a few drivers out that corner. I believe you raced in the LMP2s. Toasty, how did you find that final dip?
Yeah, it's a difficult one for sure. You need the braking bias set just right so that the rear tires don't lock and send the rear of the car around. And it's just better to brake early and light for that corner, especially in the race. You don't want to take any risks there.
Absolutely, as we've seen from a few drivers, it looks like the rear just wants to step round as soon as they get on the brakes. So we follow Bruce across the line. Is this any faster? It is, but not enough, so he stays put. That's Tyjo behind him. Does he get anything done? He doesn't. That rounds out qualifying session, so that is not the session Blankfile would have hoped for. He's going to have to get it all done in the race, and whilst they're in Tinker Time, I'll pull up the actual maps to find out where Bruce needs to finish. However, Linga Bazinga takes pole position. He'd get an extra bonus point for that. Toasty, I think you called it, didn't you, Linga? This was going to be his race, so it's a good start. Wadge currently sitting in second in the BMW. Blankfile in third in that Bentley. Immortalis in fourth. Jack is going to be in fifth. Dr. Potford sixth. Bruce in seventh. Chris eighth. Snarling in ninth. And Harry rounding out the top 10, one of the reserve drivers for this evening. Tyjo coming home in 11th. Flatpack in 12th. Toten in 13th. Reno King 14th. Green Gaming and Survivor 15th and 16th. Here we go then. 2 minutes of Tinker Time. And I'm going to do some very quick calculations here. It looks like that if Blankfile wins and Bruce Law finishes 8th, it would come down to whoever it would tie it, and it would come down to whoever had fastest lap. So Bruce really needs to be aiming for 7th to cover that off. So Blankfile to win and fastest lap. Blankfile needs to win and get fastest lap. Bruce needs to finish in 8th place, and that would mean Blankfile would take it. So those are the conditions. The gauntlet is set. Let's have one quick run down the grid here, see who's where. So Lingo in pole position is going to be inside into Hell corner. He's going to have Wadge in that BMW for company, not known for getting off the line brilliantly, that BMW, so we'll keep an eye on that. Blankfile in third on the inside, and he's got Immortalis for company. Jack in fifth, and Dr. Potford line up the two Ferraris. They should get off the line very well. Bruce in seventh, and he's alongside Snarling. I suspect Snarling will get the jump on him in that McLaren, but that Janetta has been off the line fantastic all season. Chris comes home in currently sitting in 9th place in that Lamborghini, with Harry in 10th for company, rounding out the top 10. Tyjo in 11th in that BMW, with Flatpack, the reserve, both reserves in the Ferrari. Toten in that Mercedes. I thought that Mercedes would have gone a little bit quicker around here, so maybe just struggling with initial setups. Needs to get his eye in. Keep an eye on that. Reno King in 14th. Green Gaming and Survivor 15th, 16th. The team of Z4s unable to get anything going just yet. So here we go. Tinker Time is done. The lights are about to go out. It all comes down to this. The next 45 minutes decides the championship. Wadge gets off the line brilliantly. Contact with Lingo immediately pushing into turn one. It looks like Blankfile is going to lose a position to Immortalis around the outside. Jack and Dr. Potford keep it fleeing side by side. Bruce and Snarling are still together as well. Linger going backwards, losing second to eMotorsports, and being challenged by Blankfile on the inside up into Quarry's Bend. No thing, you can make the inside line work as an overtake here if you're very brave on the brakes. Blankfile thinks better of it. eMotorsports going around the outside of Wadge. He's going to take the lead early on, and great showing from him. Snarling clipping the wall in the background there. That's not going to help. It looks like Bruce is going backwards as well. Not quite sure what's happened there. Maybe getting caught up in that contact with Snarling as everyone seems to be falling into line a little bit up the front. So eMotorsports, Wadge, Linger, Jack, Blankfile, Dr. Pop and Snarling are the current running order for now. Let's just double check and see what's gone on to Bruce here. It does look like he's had damage early on. That's not going to do him any favours. He's currently outside where he needs to be finished. Sixth seems to be the seventh. Sorry, seems to be the position he needs. So he needs to get a bit of a wiggle on. Snarling looks like he's having a few difficulties early doors as well. So they've got Tiger in the middle there, something kind of split into two. Jack having a little bit of wobble into elbows Forest. We saw a lot of cars stepping out the rear there. That mistake is probably going to happen a few times more, but what a start for eMotorsports.
Yeah, he went around the outside of a couple of cars through a couple of corners there. That was impressive. But yeah, we see both Blankfile and Bruce a little bit further down than we expected, although it could still go down to the wire in the points here.
I've said it before, eMotorsports only knows one thing, and that is maximum attack, and it has paid dividend already with inside one lap. Linger looks like he's going to hang on to the back of him now, only a half a second gap. It gets a little bit wide there. You need to be careful. You'll get a penalty if you're too wide there. The race director is particularly harsh. It looks like Blankfile is coming under pressure from Wadge. Maybe be surprised if he's going to get that done around the outside now. Door-to-door racing. Looks like Wadge is going to make that stick. Looks like he's going to carry just enough speed up the back straight. BMW and the Bentley seem to be evenly matched in power. I thought the Bentley would have a little bit more drag. Maybe as we come sort of further up Mountain Straight, we start to see it change. It is Blankfile just able to get his nose in front. Is Wadge going to get anything done up on the inside now? He is. Blankfile once wide and hits the wall. That's going to help Bruce, if anything. So, Wadge in fourth, Jack in third. Looks like Jack is just sitting off the back of eMotorsports, and Linger sort of keeping distance but unable to really close the gap up just yet. Snarling is into the pits for damage repair. Bruce has stayed out, so he's under pressure from Toten in that Mercedes. That Janetta does look like quite a severe ding, but Bruce is either soldiering on or is looks worse than what it is. It's definitely been aerodynamically adjusted.
Yeah, as long as he doesn't have suspension damage on there, he'll be able to run that to the end. It's only going to impact his straight line speed a bit, having the front aero damage.
As I say that, as I sort of jump to this little fight here with Dr. Potford getting on the back of Wadge, you can see that there's Blankfile, Tiger, and Bruce is just out of shot, just coming up this back Conrod straight now. So he's not actually as far back as the timing board sort of suggests. As we can see, Dr. Potford going to go up the inside down into the chase. Very brave move. Looks like he loses it under braking. Now, is he going to collect Blankfile?
Oh, right in front of... Oh, no.
Nothing he could do there. And he gets Bruce as well. That is an absolute catastrophe for both Bruce and Blankfile. Blankfile diving into the pits. That is going to be damage repairs. Is Bruce going to stay out? That is the question. He is. Bruce soldiers on some more. This could be a deciding factor in this race.
Yeah, that's a huge impact, not only for the bodywork, but also for championship points.
That is it. We knew this race was going to be the decider. I didn't realise it was going to be this exciting. Meanwhile, up the front, Linger looks like he's been able to find a little bit of time on eMotorsports as they come up through into the... where are we now? Is this coming into Reed Park?
Yes.
It is coming up into Summer Park. Just coming over the top of the mountain now. As we've seen, it's extremely hard to overtake through this section. It's almost sort of flat out if you're brave enough. So he gets super close to the wall, getting ready for the big braking zone into Skyline. Super tricky. He must have treated his 2 separate corners, brake nice and early, get the car over, clip the apex here, back on the brakes in a straight line here, and try not to run too deep to get the best exit. You can see the McLaren just stepping out just a little bit in the dirty air as they get ready for Forest Elbow. We've seen eMotorsports struggle under braking here, and it's going to be Linger who gets it wrong. Locks up the rears, big style. Hopefully he's out the way and doesn't collect Wadge in all of this. Wadge keeps it relatively collective. You can see Mortalis get himself to the inside there. He's going to lose only 1 place, so not too detrimental just yet. That is going to give Mortalis a big breathing space, which he needs. I should let him save the tyres, but he probably won't. Meanwhile, Toten in that Mercedes AMG's come from quite a way back, actually. I said that when he was on the grid that AMG looked a little further back than it should have been. He's obviously making it work in a race. Currently sitting in 6th place and chasing down Jack in that Ferrari for 5th.
Yeah, you see
Jack. Sorry, go on.
Yeah, he seems to be pushing at this point, but not over the top. He doesn't seem to be driving 100 or 101%, which is really what ends up making you pay the price around this track.
Absolutely, there is a time to push, and there is no point being. You've only got to be in first at the end of the race. That's the bit that matters. A little bit of cautious, a little bit of a cool head can normally play dividend. Just wonder whether Toten's going to have a little look into turn 1. It looks like Linger and Wadge are having a little bit of a battle. I'm going to flick to them as soon as I can. Let's just see what happens here. Nothing doing just yet. Let's see how these guys are getting on. Let's see Linger going around the outside of the cutting. That is an absolute. That is a seriously bold move. Great driving from both drivers there. Super confident and aware that where each other is. Great racing.
I've never seen that move done.
We nearly missed it. So Linger Bazinga on lap 4 already getting his early submission to overtake in a week. I think we're going to be hard pushed to find something a little bolder than that. This is simply keep it together down in this downhill section here. This is where we saw that McLaren step the rear end out under braking. Looks like he's got it much under control. It's going to be Wadge who gets it wrong this time. That is going to be damage repairs, I expect. That was a big shunt into the wall. Looks like Taijo is going to get himself round cleanly. Taijo, our reserve driver tonight. I told you to keep an eye on him. I believe he qualified just outside the top 10, just inside the top 10, sorry. And he is challenging for a podium as we speak.
I think he knows how to set up a car for this track. He drove the LMP2s here earlier in the season, and he knows all about that corner, about what you have to do to keep the car straight and point it in the right direction through Forest Elbow.
Absolutely, and he's a very good driver in his own right as well. Always active in the Flux community. Happy to have him part of the community. Great to see him out on track and scoring some good points. So I just flicked back in the background there. It looks like Toten is getting it done into turn 1. A bold move under braking. Is that going to upset Jack's car? It doesn't. It upsets Toten running extremely wide. I wonder whether that was just a little bit of lag, maybe, or whether he did actually go that wide and he's lost a little bit of speed up this mountain straight. Jack unable to get anything done. Maybe going to have a little look under braking, but it's going to be late if it is. It isn't into turn 1. Toten still misses the apex and runs wide. That's going to give Jack a little sniff to the inside there. Is he going to try the same move as Linger? We're going to see 2 people go round at the cutting. We aren't. Oh, I bet Jack fancied it though. As you can see him getting all in the mirrors of Toten, just making sure he knows he's there, applying as much pressure as he can, trying to force the mistake. Which, unless you can sort of really force a driver off the, and as I say, that blank file is back into the pits. Is that more damage or is that tyre repair?
That looked like more damage. He had a really banged up front, and the windshield was quite spiderwebbed, so I think he was trying to pushed hard to catch up to Bruce and ended up making contact with the wall somewhere.
Blank file, unable to get the start though. I mean, really he needed to get the race and as many points as he could to really challenge Bruce for the win. It looks like if it finishes it is, Bruce will take that win. Big Crown gets his first GT3 championship crown, one that has eluded him for many seasons now in Flux life and previous. Meanwhile, we stay with this battle here. Jack not letting Toten away just yet. And there's about a second gap by the end of the lap, but coming up and over the hill, I think as you said before, Toten is quite pushing as hard as he maybe could, and Jack is, and that's allowing the gap to close. But on the back straights, that Mercedes just got a little bit more grunt, and even with the toe, Jack's still able to close up.
I think what Chris is doing here is a pretty smart move. I don't think he's pushing too hard. He's driving at big accident there.
Big accident. That looks like it was Taijo. That is Taijo losing into turn one. Looks like he collected Toten. Did Jack get away unscathed? I think he did. So, not sure how that is going to fare. Toten looks like he's giving the positions away. That is unfortunate for him.
And just like I was about to say, Chris was, hanging back, but it's not getting too close to get caught up into any incident, and now he's in the top 5. So
we've seen this from Chris, as I said in the qualifying session. Chris has been able to score consistent points, and I believe if he finishes the way he is, he's going to end up in definitely taking over from Snarling. Maybe eMotorsports will get the win, so no, he probably looks like he's just going to gain himself 1 point, so he'll end up in 6th. But still, a good drive all season from him, as you said, keeping his nose clean, sort of just taking the points that are given to him, really. So let's just look a little further back to the grid. This is for 7th place and maybe 6th, depending on how you chalk it up. We've seen Taijo just in front there in that BMW. We know he had a little shunt into turn 2. He has got Dr. Potford and Flatpack in the yellow Ferraris chasing him down. Dr. Potford, I imagine, should be able to get this done with relative ease if Taijo has taken a little bit of damage. Dr. Potford's car looking pretty clean and tidy. Flatpacks has had a little look in. You see Taijo diving to the pits there, so that one comes to nothing. It is going to leave Dr. Potford and Flatpack together though, but maybe some team orders in place here to try and get up and take Toten for 5th, who we know has damage, but he's opted to stay out. So let's just look at that. Further up the grid, check in with our race leader, Immortalis, 4.3 seconds clear of Linga in 2nd. It looks like Immortalis is playing it cool for a change and keeping it nice, clean, tidy up and over the hill, which is exactly what he needs to do. As I say that, he starts having a bit of a mare into Skyline. He's probably have to get a little let off there to not get a slowdown penalty from the race director. See if Linga got through there any better. So he's got a great run out of Elbows Forest. We saw a little spin there earlier on, but it looks like he's got the hang of it now. 3.4 seconds now, the gap, so that is starting to come down. A pair of them have left 3rd place Jack behind, so it is going to be between these two and then Jack fighting for the rest. And we've seen Jack do some brilliant defensive driving, notably at Rapuna Park.
I think that was
actually, I believe.
Right, I think that was against Linga in Rapuna Park.
I think it was Linga, Snarling and Immortalis were all in like a little train for 4th. But he has got Chris for company, who is sort of chipping away at the gap, not making huge gains. As we saw last time round, Chris did with 2:13.0 and Jack with 2:14.3. So maybe it is quite a sizable difference actually, but looks like Chris has got the best run down this down into Murray's corner, getting ready to start the new lap within about a second of Jack. So could this be the lap that he gets it done? That would put him up into third place. And I believe he was either in 10th or 9th. He was definitely down that way. So he's made up a boatload of places to get up this far. And
Linga has cut down the gap between Immortalis to less than half. It was 6.5 seconds or so after his early spin, but yeah, catching up quite considerably here.
We'll be sure to jump in with that. Toten looks like he's diving into the pits, so he's going to lose a few points, a few positions to that. Looks like Survivor and Green Gaming actually have come from the back up to 8th and 10th respectively, so little Z4s are doing much the same tactics as Chris and just taking the points that are given to them. Good little hustle from them too. Looks like Jack is able to pull away quite a decent gap coming up and over the hill. I wonder whether Chris is able to close that gap on that Conrod straight. Blankfile and Wadge back into the pits again. Wadge missing the entire front of that BMW, so the current race leaders are having an absolute mare. Bathurst is bringing some bad juju, it turns out. So it looks like if Blankfile isn't careful, he's about to get lapped. I don't think we've seen that happen yet. So, whilst we have a little bit of a lull, we stay on board with Lingo as he hunts down Immortalis. It seems like we've had our first few rounds of dueling happen, and now we're just getting their breath back, let the tyres cool down. I'll be thinking about their next move. As we look to Team Angie in the YouTube comments, welcome Angie, glad to have you with us. As per normal, she says, come on Team KCSR even. Let's finish strong. Good luck to all the rest. Make them work for it. The most improved driver award goes to Green Gaming. Well, Team KCSR having a mare, it turns out, Angie. Bruce currently sitting down in 7th place. Blankfile going very much backwards. A complete mix-up to the norm. And Green Gaming, you know what? I think it'd be very hard to argue against that. Green Gaming started at the back of the pack, either 15th or 16th, I can't remember which way round they were. Currently sitting in 11th with his teammate in 10th, about 3-4 seconds up ahead, so not a massive split between the two. I would argue that I would probably put my Survivor as the most improved driver in the other Z4, as we saw him have a brilliant result. I believe it was at Dubai, but I'm prepared to be wrong.
Sakito.
It was Sugo.
Oh, really? Oh yeah.
Sakito, he finished 7th, and then at Sugo, he took 4th.
Oh, wow.
So I would argue that my claim to most improved driver of the season would be this man here, and as I've said that, he gets a more than a handful of the wall. Maybe we'll stop talking about him and see if we can not commentators curse him any further. Let's see how Snarling looks like he's a little further back, and Bruce and Dr. Potford have had a coming together. Bruce's day goes from bad to worse.
Through force elbow again.
I think it was already worse. That is not going to help. Is Bruce finally going to pit? He's got about, where's Blankfile? Over a minute gap to Blankfile, so he could risk it, get the car repaired, come out, and then race Blankfile to the end. Whether he fancies that or not, I don't know. Snarling is trying to get his race back on track, currently sitting in 9th, but looks like he's about to try and take 8th off of Toten. And Angie also coming up in the comments, driver today is Immortalis. That start was amazing. Again, can't argue with you again, Angie. Very good point. very brave and decisive opening lap from eMotorsports, and he is reaping the rewards now. Linker, with currently overtaken the race, is hunting him down, so it's still all to play for. Snarling looks like he's got round Toten with relative ease into Murray's corner, so it's one done. He's got Dr. Potford 10 seconds up the road, but we've seen Dr. Potford and Bruce have a coming together. Bruce has opted to stay out still. Maybe that Janetta is just made of sterner stuff.
Yeah, I think he knows that this position is enough for winning the championship, and I think he's just coasting around now, doing his best to keep it clean for the remainder of the 23 minutes.
We are fast approaching the halfway mark, and I think you could be right. I think Bruce understands all he has to do really now is just finish ahead of Blankfile in any way, and that's enough. Blankfile is currently a minute back, so with people in the way, so it's a tall order for Blankfile to get done. I just don't know whether I could continue to drive a car that was playing up like that for another 20 minutes. Also, see Snarling have another incident coming into the skyline. Another really tricky braking zone there. You come up over the hill, you sort of have to turn and brake. You treat it as two separate corners, and Snarling still not having the luck that he needs, really. Unable to keep the car settled. Toten looks like he gets another little ding through his measures, but shouldn't be too much damage. As you get to the front of the grid, this is where we want to be. That is Tyjo in the back in 13th place. He is a lap down, but Linger is within a second of eMotorsports. eMotorsports' breather come to an end. We saw Linger at the very start of this race applying loads of pressure to eMotorsports and making a mistake into Forest Elbow, which was able to give eMotorsports a bit of breathing space, but he has chewed that gap right back up. Getting ready for round 2. Still more action to go with 22 minutes left in this race, so just past halfway. Tyres are probably starting to become a problem. Temperatures shouldn't be too bad. They will be hot, but they shouldn't be overheating. They've got these two very long straights to cool back down again, so they shouldn't be uncontrollable, but tyre wear should be becoming a problem, I suspect, especially up that fast mountain section. As we see there, it looks like Linger is just being able to carry just so much more speed through these faster corners. Whether that is just eMotorsports being more cautious than I'm giving credit for, or Linger is just that much quicker. As you can see on the lap times, Linger put in a 2:06.9 and eMotorsports with a 2:07.8. So just over a second gap. A second quicker, sorry. As we've got Carlin joining in the YouTube comments there. It's been a great season. We've been watching from the Flux American Tour, and as always, a great forecast of compelling racing. Look forward to 2021 Season 2. Glad to be on board. Glad to have you with us, Carlin. Thank you for joining. We are sure to bring much more of the same, as Linger having a little sniff. We saw him overtake Wadge into the cutting there around the outside. I wonder whether we're going to try the same again with eMotorsports, but a little bit too far back as of yet. And Linger just with his foot absolutely planted through this section. That McLaren is looking pointed. Great effort from Linger to close the gap up and put this sort of pressure on. How is eMotorsports going to deal with this and defend? We've seen him have a few issues under braking into this section here, as is Linger, so a pair of them are going to have to be careful. This is the corner that caught them out. eMotorsports in qualifying, Linger in the race. No issues this time round. Linger gets the apex beautifully there. He's going to get a great run down Conrod Straight, and that McLaren should have a little bit more speed with its whopping great big turbo that it's got on that Ferrari. I wonder whether we're going to see a move down into the chase under braking. think Immortalis is going to hold on just for now. Linger just slightly too far back. It looks like Dr. Hotford is getting into the pits, probably for damage repair. We saw him have a few knocks and bumps, and Green Gaming jump into the pits as well for some company. Linger only 3 temps back now, in touching distance of Immortalis, just not enough to get his nose alongside and start to force his way through. Is we going to see anything up into Quarry Bend?
The McLaren is.
The toe. We can see that timing coming down. Sorry, what were you going to say, Toasty?
I was going to say that McLaren looks very planted. The Ferrari a bit more loose.
That is probably driving style. Immortalis does like a car that will slide a little bit. I think we're obviously opting for a little bit more downforce. So we're going to see him move around the outside of the cut in here. It looks like you're getting ready to have a look. Takes a very wide line. Really straightens this corner out for the best run up this hill he can get. See Immortalis using all of the road available to get really close to those walls. Just trying to search for any sort of advantage he can dig out of this section of track, which is so unforgiving. Linger just absolutely stuck to the back of him though. As you were right, that McLaren is looking solid. That looked like it was flat pack facing the wrong way into Skyline, or the S's, sorry. He's probably had a little issue under braking, and again Linger getting that corner absolutely nailed. 3 temps behind Immortalis with the toe. I think this could be the move into the chase. So the chase is the corner after this little kick right. Big braking zone into that left-hander. Linger getting nice and early to the inside for this one, but for the outside of the chase, thinks better of it. Is he going to have a little look into the inside? He's not, but close. He's right up on the back of Immortalis. Immortalis is going to be sweating bullets, I'm sure. Down now into Murray's corner. Anything doing here? There isn't. Let's just jump on board with Linger. This is all he can see is Ferrari bumper at the minute. We can really get a feel for how close that gap is and how much more speed Linger's able to carry through these corners. Immortalis just able to hang on the straights, it seems. You see that gap coming down, closing more and more as they run up into Quarry's Bend. Is Linger going to have a little look in here? He's going to go to the outside, not known for overtaking. Around the outside here, it's going to be brave as he sticks it out. Nothing doing just yet, side by side into the cutting. Linger thinking better of it and just falling back in behind there. Looks like they're going to sit in for another lap, or at least another section, until they get back to the Conrod Straight. Although we have seen Linger pull off that overtake around the outside into the cutting, so maybe he's got a few more surprises up his sleeve that we haven't seen yet. A pair of them absolutely hooning it, I think is the phrase. As you see, Immortalis making a little bit of a mistake there into Skyline, down into the S's. They're going to let Linger catch right up, but the track's so narrow here, there's not a lot of space to really get your nose alongside. See, Immortalis is getting all kinds of wrong now. He's got it wrong onto the entry and he's paying the price all the way down. Linger having a little wobble under brakes. That'll probably give Immortalis just enough room down Conrod Straight to survive another lap. 15 minutes left to go.
Yeah, the braking down to Forest Elbow is even more difficult when you're behind a car. You just lose the rear downforce as well as the front, and even if you have the braking bias further forward than you usually might, the rear tends to step out.
Absolutely, especially if they're racing this hard. The tyre wear is going to be definitely playing a factor now. Just in the bottom of the screen, you can see Reno King in 15th place. He's going to need to make his let these guys through, not want to ruin the race for the first and second place. Linger, looks like he's going to have a little sniff into turn 1. Is he going to get it done? Forces Immortalis to the outside. Immortalis should get a better run up the mountain straight. It's going to be a drag race into Quarry Bend with Reno King up front in the way. He's going to need to get out of the way sooner rather than later if these two are going side by side into Quarry's Bend. Is Lincoln going to hang it out on the outside? We saw him try it last lap. He isn't. Reno King doing an amazing job of getting out of the way there. Good racing etiquette from him. Big props. So, another lap goes around again. eMotorsports able to hang on through this tight, windy section for the time being. Linger giving him absolutely no breathing space and no room for error. Linger almost bump drafted him through this whole section. Super confident on eMotorsports' ability. Loads of trust. He's received getting up on the inside into Philby Park. He's going to be on the outside down into Skyline. He's going to try and get a move done on the inside into the S's here. Looks like he was going to try and get back underneath.
I thought he was.
Excellent car control under the braking. Dingo extremely confident in that car at the minute. He's showing some excellent confidence and ability to really push that car beyond what you think is possible. eMotorsports doing a great job to keep him behind, really. This is no easy feat. Absolute mountains of pressure. 13 minutes left to go, lap 15.
Yeah,
is Linger finally going to be rewarded for his efforts? Sorry, Toasty.
It's incredible to watch. Both drivers doing an amazing job. eMotorsports just fending off Linger there again.
And we saw eMotorsports get on the dirt just a little bit and lock up under braking, but because he had to hang on, Linger pulled out just a little bit. Gap still only within half a second, so I say he's got breathing space, but not by much. So here we go again, another lap. More action to go. Linger opted for the outside again. I think he's determined to drive a whole lap side by side. Lay on the brakes around the outside into Quarry's Bend. Great move from Linger Bazinga. That is not something you see happen every day, especially this far into a race. Great move from him. Two brilliant overtakes so far. eMotorsports is not going to be happy with that one. I don't think eMotorsports is going to let him get away quite so easy. eMotorsports now the following car. Let's see if he can keep with and get some pressure onto Linger, or Linger just going to be able to drive away. He's showed brilliant pace in that half of this race. Well rewarded.
Linger really loves he really loves the outside lines on this track, doesn't he?
Absolutely. Maybe he knows something that we don't. Fantastic driving from the pair of them, has to be said. To be able to go side by side around Bathurst is no easy feat in any car, let alone GT3s. What this will allow me to do is to give us the hot lap right around. We will do it with Linger Bazinga as he's out in front of us. A nice clean air to look at. We'll follow him around for one more lap and see what an entire lap in the cockpit of Linger looks like. I imagine some very sweaty palms. Just keeping a little eye on the timing board. Bruce is in 5th and Blankfiler's making his way up to 7th, so only a 40-second gap now. That is being chipped away. 10 minutes left to go, and here it is. So, across the start-finish line, down into Hell Corner, looking for the braking point, nice and easy, looking to get the best run up on the mountain straight as you can. Use a little bit of the curve if you dare. I think you're taking quite a lot there, obviously super confident in the car. This is the easy bit, get your foot flat, looking to brake just as the wall starts on the left-hand side. I'll point it out here into Quarry Bend, and there it is at the wall end. Just clip the apex if you can. A little bit of a washout from Linger there. Gets super wide on the curbs. Shouldn't lose too much speed from there. Down into the cutting now where we saw him get on the outside, braking just at the jig. And again, just trying to run it as straight as possible. Coming up into Reed Park and Solomon Park. It's flat out section now. Looks like he's just lost his rear end just a little bit. Clip the apex here. Flat out through this bit. A little confidence lift if you there, it is there.
Ooh.
round into, as we approach Skyline now, looks like you're just getting out of the way of a bit of traffic there, so into Skyline, this is the double braking zone. Brake here, turn, and then brake again into the S's. Try and keep it nice and tight, and there's Blankfile facing the wrong way. Linger with excellent reflexes to get out of the way of that one. This is what it's like driving around Bathurst, ladies and gentlemen. You've got to be sharp. Coming down into Forest Elbow, this is where we saw the rear of the car try and step out. Linger gets it absolutely nailed again. Great run back onto the Conrod straight. Again, another a chance to get a breather. Just keep your foot flat and try not to steer the steering wheel too much. Coming through the little drink to the right now, hasn't got a corner name, into the big braking zone, which is the chase, and you're going to see some two dark tyre marks on the floor, and that is the braking point. There it is. They're heavy on the brakes. Trying not to take too much of the entry curve, but running a little bit wide there from Linger. Trying to take too much curve on the exit, coming down into Moe's corner now. Again, something that you can't make a lot of time up into. You just need to keep it nice and clean, and trying to run too wide. Just clip the apex, let it roll through, and get on the power as early as you can. And that is one lap of Bathurst with our race leader Linger Bazinga, and Immortalis sitting just behind him. Look, has given him no chance to run away.
You could hear the engine of the Ferrari towards the end of that lap he was catching. Even through all that traffic, they both managed to swerve around two cars facing the wrong way.
That is something you have to get used to racing around here. Problem is the smallest of mistake gets amplified because there's absolutely no runoff. You just end up hitting the wall and getting parked. A bit like the Suez Canal, really. Immortalis unable to get anything sort of going for the minute, sort of just sitting within half a second of Linger, so keeping the pressure on, but nothing too intense just yet. And the format of Linger recently has been, these last second half of the race has been phenomenal, so Immortalis is really going to have to pull something out of the bag to get that position back. And it looks like, dare I say it, that Blankfile has retired. We saw him facing the wrong way around on that fast lap, and that looks like that has been enough for Blankfile, retiring the Bentley, so that means all Bruce has to do is finish. Easier said than done, I'm afraid. And Bruce is finally going to get that GT3 crown that he has been desperately hunting. I'm just going to double check the points and make sure I've not made a mistake, but no, that is it. All Bruce has to do is finish. The points will be his. That Janetta looking a little worse for wear. I don't think he'll get much money for it on scrap, but it is still working, so that's all he needs it to do at the minute. Currently the closest action still remains for the top spot. Immortalis in second. Linger has it. Immortalis wants it. Only 6 minutes left to go, so the laps are winding down now. Maybe 4 laps to go, maybe, if you're lucky. So Immortalis really running out of time. See, making up a little bit of time into Quarry's Bend there under braking. I wonder whether Immortalis has just been a little bit braver now, knowing that there's not much time left to go and needs to get this done if he wants to win. You can see him really pushing into the cutting there. That's not going to help. You need to go fast, but you can't afford to make those sorts of mistakes. So we've got Victor in the chat. Immortalis now has a chance to control the tyre champs, as he doesn't need to defend anymore. That is very true. He doesn't need to defend, but he definitely does need to push and keep the pressure on Linger. Otherwise, Linger is going to drive away, and that will sort of confirm the finishing order for this one. Whilst Immortalis is able to keep the pressure on, Linger is unable to get away. You see Immortalis getting it super wrong into Forest Elbow there. That is going to give Linger the break that he needs, and I don't think that's going to be recoverable. Wow, what a few laps that was.
Yeah, it seemed like seemed like there was just non-stop action for much of the race there, and look at the time, and it's suddenly 4.5 minutes left to go.
Round 8 of the GT3 Championship, and we've been treated to an absolute spectacle.
You know, about 25 minutes into the race, I was gonna say so much has happened. Feels like we did a race distance already, and then it all kicked off.
Just as I thought I was going to get a breather, it all happened again. I told you these races this season seem to have been happening in sort of 2 rounds. There's the opening sort of 20 minutes, then there's like a 5-minute lull where everyone sort of takes a breather, gets their breath back, and then the last half of the race everyone goes mad again. And Angie also in the chat, I think she's jinxed Green Gaming. I think you're right. He was running up towards top 10, now currently sitting down in 14th place. You did see him pit. We expect for damage, and Survivor's fallen back a little bit as well, just behind 12th. A pair of them were sniffing around in the top 10. So they have gone backwards a little bit. Reno King is the person splitting them currently. Let's just have a little flick through the grid here, get some of the other drivers some airtime. Jack had been an absolute stellar race from him, holding on to 3rd, and he has still got Chris for company, sitting about 5 seconds back. These two haven't been able to close up, but haven't been able to pull away either. Good race from the pair of them. Both going to score really good points. Bruce currently sitting in 5th place, so even if Blank was winning, this would have been enough for Bruce to take the win still. So he has done absolutely everything right, really, considering the absolute shocker that he's had. Still able to pull the result that he needed, so good effort for him. I think he's driving that car on willpower alone. Toten currently sitting in 6th place. We saw him have a few knocks. I believe he'd lost the place to I can't remember who it was. He's fine. Was it Starling? We saw him have a little incident into turn 1, into Quarry's Bend. And I think it was Snarling he allowed to get through. Behind him, flat pack, very, very last minute reserve, coming up to 7th. Good hustle from him. We've seen that. Ferrari has had a little nose job, but it seems to be working for him now. Dr. Popford, his teammate, currently in 8th. They're both going to score decent points there. Tyjo, the other reserve for tonight, in 9th. Good showing from him. We saw him up in 3rd at one point, so he did seem to have that massive shunt into Quarry's Bend as well. He ended up facing the wrong way round and has paid the price for it. Wadge, our final reserve for this, sorry, not Wadge. Wadge, currently in 3rd place, has fell back down to 10th. We saw him pit just behind Blankfile for damage, and he's been unable to get himself back up through the grid. It looks like he's got Tyjo just up ahead of him in front of Chris here, but it's going to be a bit of an awkward one to get done. Harry is our final reserve tonight, 11th again. He's got a bit of a nose job. Ferrari as well. Good showing from him. Survivor getting into the pits now with a definitely percussively adjusted Z4. Wonder whether that is going to let Reno King and Green Gaming catch up. I don't think it is. Reno King jumping in for tonight. He's in 13th in that Nissan. Having a bit of a better showing than he did the other week, but not massive gains out of that Nissan just yet. And Green Gaming, as Angie rightly jinxed, sent him to the back, so we can blame her for that one.
Green Gaming, though, great effort in the IndyCar Championship. 2nd in the points he finished, so very consistent in the IndyCars. He
was the only driver to take on all 7 championships. So his talents have been spread extremely thin across all the championships here at Flux. Obviously IndyCar is the one that he's made stick, and all credit to him. They're not easy cars to drive. I believe he's racing later in the stock cars as well, so be sure to go check them out. 8 o'clock EST time. The stock car championship heads to Texas Motor Speedway Oval to secure the final over there. I'll just pull up who is currently in the lead in that one. So Dale the Whale is on 163 points. O'Brien is second on 147. He's tied with Sign Crewmate, who's in third, and Cat Guy on 135. Carling in fifth on 135 as well. So two people tied for points. Green Gaming is in sixth on 90 points. Harry on 80 points. Seventh. Carboy on eighth, 62 points. Booth 958. Luke, Necky, Smack, Old Smoky, and Glenn finish off the grid. So that one's going to have is going to come down to the wire as well. So this is the last lap as we follow Linga around. An absolute stellar drive from him. You called it earlier on, Toasty, that Linga was going to have the drive that he needed today, and definitely weren't wrong. I'm hoping that he can carry this confidence and this sort of performance over to next season.
Yeah, I hope so.
Get himself some trophies.
Definitely not the way I would have predicted the championship points ending, though. It's a lot different than expected.
The mountain has served us well, my friend. We wanted excitement down to the end, and the mountain has provided.
There we go.
Linga choosing to take the win. Definitely didn't do it the easy way. Two massive overtakes from him. You'll be super happy with that one. I expect him and Snarling will be on the beers this evening. As we see him come across the line now through the final corner, I'm going to see a big flash of the lights. Good race from Linga, well deserved, brilliant drive from him. In second place, Immortalis, again another brilliant drive from Immortalis as well, nothing to take away from him either. It looks like Chris has been able to nab third place from Jack. Maybe Jack having a little spin, he has. Bit of damage, so Jack thrown away at the last minute. Chris going to score, I believe, his first podium of the season on the final race. What a way to finish his season with Mr. Consistent strikes again. As you see that Lamborghini bouncing his way down into Fire's elbow. That was very strange. I don't think I've seen a race car do that before.
It's kind of jumping and hopping on the very worn tires.
That is definitely a bit different, but it looked very stable, so I shan't comment too much. Meanwhile, whilst we sort of come to the final stages of this race, thank you all who have joined us through this season and all who have watched this evening. Thank you for showing your support. Please hit that like button and subscribe. It helps the channel grow massively. Do keep an eye out on Flux Motorsport social medias. We've got a very big announcement coming. I believe there's going to be another clue on our special event after this race. So if you haven't worked it out already, there'll be another little prompt coming from that. So be sure to keep an eye on those. Twitter, Facebook, Instagram as well. If you want to get involved, head over to www.fluxmotorsport.com and hit the driver sign up button. You can come join our Discord and get involved in the community where you can join the special event. You can get involved in next season's championships and generally just race with great guys in casual lobbies away from all the public lobby carnage. Also on the website you can find the Flux Motorsport merch where you sell t-shirts, phone cases, hoodies, stickers. All goes back into the community so we can bring bigger and better prizes. And what is the point of winning if you don't look good whilst doing it? So here it is, the final results after all this said and done. A big win from Linga Bazinga, taking home first place. Immortalis comes home in second, and Chris takes his first podium spot, I believe, in GT3s in third. Bruce ends up finishing in fourth place. Great showing from him. He's going to get the championship title done. He's finally gets it sorted, the one that's eluded him, so big props to him. Jack comes home in fifth. I've thrown it away in the last lap, I believe. A little incident maybe knocking him down the last few places. Toten comes home in sixth, with Flatpack in seventh for company. Dr. Potford in eighth. Wags falling all the way down to ninth. I believe that might change up. Who got the third place? We'll wait and see when the standings come out. Tyjo rounds out the top 10. Harry in 11th. Survivor in 12th. Looks like he managed to hang on to a couple of places after that pit stop. Reno King in 13th in the Nissan, a little drive out from him. Green Gaming in 14th. Blankfile ended up retiring in the end, as well as Snarling. So there it is. Thank you again for joining us Big thank you to Toasty for hosting and joining me in the commentary box all season.
Yeah,
I hope to have you with me next season.
It's been real fun. Yeah, definitely coming back. Yeah, this race especially it's been quite a finale, and seeing the points battle develop between Blank File and Bruce through the season, it was great entertainment.
Absolutely, we've been treated week in, week out, and whilst I'm here, a massive shout out to all of the GT3 drivers and all of the Flux Championship drivers who have raced this season. Absolute great driving in all of our championships, and to all of our drivers in the community who don't race in the championships, who race in the community challenge events, in the community hosted lobbies you run throughout the week. A big thank you to all. As I said, keep an eye out for our social medias. We bring announcements for the special event in the next coming weeks. I've been your host of the Console. I've been joined with Toasty. Thank you so much, and we'll see you next season.